What if the oldest story ever written wasn't about a hero saving the world, but about a man trying to escape death? Long before the rise of Greece, long before Rome, long before the great religions of the world, there stood a magnificent city called Uruk in ancient Mesopotamia. Its walls stretched across the horizon, protecting one of the greatest cities mankind had ever seen. And behind those walls ruled a king named Gilgamesh. A king so extraordinary that legends claimed he was 2/3 god and 1/3 man. His strength was unmatched, his courage was unmatched, his ambition was unmatched, but so was his arrogance. Gilgamesh ruled however he pleased. The people feared him, no warrior could challenge him, no voice dare oppose him. The cries of the people eventually reached the heavens, and the gods decided that Gilgamesh needed an equal. Someone strong enough to stand before him, somewhat wild enough to resist him, and so they created Enkidu, not in a place, not in a temple, but from the clay of the earth itself. Enkidu lived among animals. He ran with gazelles. He drank from rivers. He knew nothing of cities, king, or civilization. To him, the wilderness was home. For a time, he lived peacefully, but destiny had already chosen another path for him. One day, hunters discovered the strange, wild man. Terrified, they traveled to Uruk and told Gilgamesh about him. The king listened carefully. Then he sent a woman named Shamhat. Her task was simple: bring Enkidu into the world of men, and she succeeded. After spending days with Shamhat, Enkidu discovered something had changed. The animals no longer accepted him. They fled when he approached. For the first time, he stood between two worlds. No longer a beast, not yet a man. Shamhat taught him language. She taught him food. She taught him the customs of civilizations. And eventually, she told him about Gilgamesh, a mighty king whose power had become a burden to his people. Enkidu listened. Anger began to grow inside him. If Gilgamesh believed nobody could stand against him, then Enkidu would prove him wrong. The day finally came. The wild man entered Uruk. Crows gathered in the streets. Whispers spread everywhere. Gilgamesh was on his way to claim another privilege of kingship, but Enkidu stepped directly into his path. The two giants stared at one another. Neither moved, neither spoke. Then suddenly they attacked. The battle shook the city. Walls trembled. Doors filled the air. The strongest king in the world fought the strongest man ever created. Blow after blow, strike after strike, until neither could continue, neither had won, neither had lost, and somehow something unexpected happened. Is respect. But the first time in his life, Gilgamesh had met someone equal to himself. And for the first time in his life, Enkidu found someone who understood him. The enemies became brothers, the rivals became friends, and together they would embark on adventures that would become legendary. For the first time in his life, Gilgamesh was happy. He had found something greater than power, a brother, a companion, someone who could stand beside him without fear. But peace was never enough for Gilgamesh. Deep inside him burned a desire that could never be satisfied, the desire to be remembered forever. One day, he came to Enkidu with a dangerous idea. For beyond the lands of men stood the cedar forest, a sacred place protected by the gods. Its trees were enormous, its shadows stretched endlessly, and within it lived a monster named Humbaba, the guardian of the forest. His roar was said to be like a flood, his breath like a fire. His presence alone filled warriors with terror. Nobody dared enter his domain, which was exactly why Gilgamesh wanted to go. If they defeated Humbaba, their names would become immortal. Enkidu's face darkened. Unlike Gilgamesh, he knew the wilderness. He knew the fear hidden behind legends, and he knew Humbaba was no ordinary enemy. Do not go, he warned. But Gilgamesh had already made his decision. Soon the people of Uruk forged mighty weapons for the two heroes. Axes heavier than ordinary man could lift, swords crafted for giants, and with blessings from the gods they departed. The journey was long. Every night Gilgamesh dreamed strange dreams filled with mountains collapsing, thunder shaking the earth, wild beasts stalking through darkness. Each morning he woke afraid, but Enkidu always interpreted the dreams as signs of victory. And so they continued forward day after day, step after step, until finally the cedar forest appeared before them. For a moment, both men stood silent. The trees towered above them like pillars holding up the sky. Even Enkidu felt fear. Then the forest began to move. A massive figure emerged from the shadows. Humbaba, the guardian, the monster, the terror of the cedar forest. His voice echoed through the cheers. What foes have entered my demon? Even Gilgamesh felt his courage falter. But there was no turning back now. The battle began. The earth shook beneath their feet. Axes crushed, swords flashed. The monster struck with overwhelming force. Again and again, he drove them backward. Then the sun god Shamash sent mighty winds to aid the heroes. The winds surrounded Humbaba, blinding him, trapping him. For the first time, the guardian was helpless, and suddenly the battle was over. Humbaba fell to his knees. He looked at Gilgamesh and begged for mercy. For a moment, Gilgamesh hesitated. Perhaps the monster deserved to live. Perhaps victory was enough. But Enkidu stepped forward. No. He warned that if Humbaba survived, they would forever live in fear of his revenge. The decision was made. The guardian of the cedar forest was killed. His blood soaked the sacred ground, and the forest fell silent. The heroes had won, or so they believed, because sometimes the greatest consequences do not arrive immediately. Sometimes they wait, watching patiently, and far above them, the gods were already deciding the price that Gilgamesh and Enkidu would pay for what they had done.